welcome to the Racers HQ podcast. I'm your host, Matt Murphy, and joining us on the line tonight, we've got Patt Mulry. Pat, how are you doing tonight, sir?
That's my name. You said my name.
That's what's up. Yeah, you're a high-functioning adult.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
And special guest Todd Spickard. Todd, how are you doing, sir?
Hi, Matt. Glad
Yeah.
to be here. Hello, Pat.
Yeah.
Evening, Senor Spickard.
Let's kick it off with
that's Gracie the dog making a
great Gracie the dog.
a surprise guest appearance.
We've got actual racing to talk about tonight, but I don't want to break anybody's necks. So, in the spirit of a solid transition, let's do a quick culinary corner. Pat, what are you drinking? What are you eating these days?
Tonight, what is it that I poured tonight? Boy, I even thought, I need to remember this, and now I've completely forgotten. It's something delicious and bourbony. Oh, that's what it is. It's Dark Arts 6.5 year bourbon. We had, when Rachel and I were on a trip not long ago, we had some at a bar, and I was like, man, I've never seen this before, and it's really good. And then the next time I went to Specs, they actually had a bottle on the shelf, so picked it up.
Nice.
And 2 thumbs up for
Dark
up. Arts bourbon and the Dark Arts rye as well.
Nice. And any recent memorable culinary experiences? Make anything for dinner tonight?
I made something for dinner tonight, but it wasn't anything memorable. You know, but I will say more broadly, my brother gave me a subscription to The Athletic
Nice.
for Christmas, I guess it was, and so that like gives you access to all of the New York Times websites like Wirecutter and but also included in that is the NYT cooking app. And so I get their like their newsletter every day or every couple days or something. And it's been really nice just to like just bring up some different ideas, like not necessarily anything, real crazy, but like last night, so Rachel's out of town this week. Her dad had rotator cuff surgery. And so she's down with her mom and dad helping out this week. And so Colleen and I last night cooked a recipe that we found in there that was like a ginger, lime, garlic marinated chicken breast, and then like a Napa cabbage salad. It was Napa cabbage and zucchini and mint. She didn't like the mint so much, but like, and a little bit of vinegar. That salad. You're not gonna hear me rave about salads too often in Racer HQ cooking time, but that salad was spot on. Like it was delicious and light and flavorful for like, I mean, Napa cabbage. When do you ever have Napa cabbage? Like, boy, that was great. Yeah, I'm telling you, this was it. So look that recipe up in the NY Times. Pardon me.
Nice.
NY Times cooking app.
Nice. Yeah, that's a great app. I think Kenji is a contributor to that lately, so that's good stuff. Todd, how about you? Recent culinary experiences, refreshing beverages?
I had a grilled chicken Caesar salad, locally sourced from Kroger. And for drinks tonight, I have a very smooth single barrel, double reserve, locally sourced Miller Lite.
Oh, love it. Nice.
Did you move to Milwaukee?
Yes, from Milwaukee.
Nice. I don't have much on the drinking side of things to report, but I went to Italy, so I've been doing a lot of eating Italian food. So not to give any spoilers, but Monday after the race, I went to Italy and Dallas and had some lovely pasta there. Then and the most amazing tiramisu I've ever seen in my life. Then had dinner here in Oklahoma at a new Italian restaurant called Osteria, and that was lovely. And then just tonight, I used a bunch of ingredients I got from Italy because I needed. It's hard to find guanciale here in Oklahoma City, and so I got several packages of that, and I made pasta alla grigio, which is like rendered guanciale fat and lardons with a whole bunch of 48-day aged Parmesan I got from that place. And it was like all the amazing ingredients slapped together. Very simple dish. Some black pepper. Mwah. So good. So Highly recommend Ely in Dallas.
Love the guanciale, or however you pronounce it. I always blow it.
Sure.
Every time I say it different, and it's always wrong.
Yeah.
My when we go on vacation with my folks and my brother and sister-in-law, my sister-in-law Margaret, that's her one of her favorite things is we make a bucatini, stolen from a Mario Batali recipe that, of course, isn't as good as what they used to make at whatever that place was in Vegas that we would go to, where we would have that. But man, the bucatini noodles and that, and the great part about there's a lot of great parts about
guanciale.
See, I'm gonna blow it again. Guanciale.
Just get in there.
Guanciale. Guanciale.
Guanciale.
Like when you render that and you pour the grease off of that, and then you use that for like eggs on the weekend, like basting your sunny side up eggs. Ooh, so good.
I usually just toss my pasta in it, but yes, that works too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good stuff. Yeah, no, we're all big fans of guanciale here at Racers HQ.
Guanciale.
Well, fun. I like it. Well, stay tuned for additional culinary tips as we travel through the Racers HQ catalog. All right, let's move on. Racers HQ.
As we continue to eat our way through life.
Yeah. Racers HQ actually went racing this last weekend, and it was a busy situation. So Patt went to Pitt Race and kind of took on a different role. He was judging a Lemons race. Is that right, Pat?
That's correct.
Yeah. And Todd and I went to NASA, Texas in Houston, and ran MSR Houston, and Todd was in his CMC Mustang, and I in my SD4 Miata, and had a great time. So we're going to chat about that, just kind of report out from the track and see if we can't learn something. So lots of things went down. I think to start, I'd like to hear a lot about Pitt Race and the Lemons Race and Pat's experience, judging a race for the first time. Is this your first race to judge, Pat?
It's my first official race to judge. I was technically a judge in training, was my title.
Okay.
I guest judged at Joliet like 10 or 12 years ago. I was there doing some other stuff, and I was nearby doing some other stuff, and popped by, and I think maybe somebody had been a no-show for some reason, and so they kind of need some help midday. So I kind of hopped in and did a little bit of it on the fly. My biggest memory of that was there was a red flag in the race, and there were a lot of cars that did not mind the red flag, but instead chose to continue on to the hot pits so that they could fuel themselves. And the chief perpetrator was as angry as I've ever seen Jay, like, practically steam coming off of his head, to the point where he read them the riot act and then said, Mulry, you deal with them because I can't even handle these turkeys anymore. I was like,
wow,
you guys really pissed him off, because I've never seen that before. Right. But it was deserved. I mean, we all know, like, a red flag means, come to a stop on track, a reasonable stop, but get stopped because something has gone really sideways.
Yeah.
Like somebody's hurt.
This is not to be used as a competitive advantage.
No, exactly. And but it was a good time. I will entertain questions.
Yeah, no, so I have questions. I have several questions. So question number one, is judge like a singular role? Like you're the guy with the microphone being the asshole up there in front of the rookies, or is it multiple judges?
It's multiple judges. At this race, we had 4 judges. I was the low man on the totem pole, so to speak, if we could still use that phrase in America in 2025. And then Janice was a judge, and Tim Burr was a judge, and then Brian, I don't remember Brian's last name. I'm sorry, Brian. Not that you'll probably ever hear this. Was our head judge. So Brian, and I think Brian's done that before because he was pretty proficient with the microphone. So he was the one doing the like Saturday morning drivers meeting and that sort of stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Did you wear a funny outfit?
No, I did not. I would occasionally put on the traveling robe that we've all seen. That's a black robe with kind of some lemony accoutrement on it.
I see.
Tim has his own with a bunch of patches, and Janice has I think it's a choir robe, maybe that she has a purple choir robe, and Brian has an orange, probably also a choir robe, both off of Amazon. But I just picked up the one that was in the bin because I didn't think ahead enough to get one of those. And I didn't wear it a whole lot. I think I maybe wore it, I wore it for like drivers meeting and awards and maybe a little bit here or there. But it was on Friday. It was pretty chilly in Pittsburgh. It was funny packing up in Dallas because it was like 80 on Thursday. And I mean, it was really beautiful, blue skies, 80, and the weather in Pittsburgh at that point was forecast to be like low of 30, high of 45 and overcast the entire weekend. So it's like, pack all the rainy winter clothes, get out of your shorts and pack rainy winter clothes. But we were lucky. It was cold, but it wasn't rainy, fortunately. So it was good, but yeah, I will give a shout out. This is an unpaid endorsement, although we would accept paid endorsements or in-kind endorsements from Patagonia. I had I got a swag for a program I was in last year, one of those Patagonia puffer coats, which I would never buy for myself. And that thing is an incredible garment. You can like roll it up and it takes no space in your bag when you're here. And then it, fluffs back up when you take it out and shake it out. And like in 40-degree weather all day, Friday and Saturday, I was in a t-shirt and a long sleeve t-shirt and that jacket, and that was it. And I was like perfectly fine.
Nice.
So way to go, Patagonia.
Pat, tell us about the Pitt Race track. Have not been there. We have some friends in the Northeast who go, but what did you learn? I know you didn't drive, but what did you learn about the track and layout and what the drivers said?
Yeah, I didn't see a lot of the track because I never even got like in a rental car and drove around it. But what I did see of it, it looks like it would be a fun track. It's about a between 2 minute and 2:10 lap in an A-class car. I think the fast lap maybe was a 1:58 or something like that. I think, if you looked at what the top A cars were doing was in the low twos, 2:03, 2:04 kind of, depending on all the variables. But a lot of elevation change. Yeah, I mean, that's Pittsburgh, right? It's the Three Rivers. So there's, it's just super hilly in that area, and the track is too. So I suspect it would be, I mean, you guys know, and longtime listeners know that that's my favorite part of driving tracks is elevation change and the challenge that provides. And there's a lot of it there. It's like it's the antipod to like MSR Houston. There's a lot of elevation change. In fact, I would bet there's probably not a stretch of that track that is not elevated in one way or the other, where you're not having an elevation change. But I mean, the facility was nice overall. It was probably, I would say akin to like Joliet or Houston 20 years ago.
Like, is it Houston 20 years ago a good thing? Like, because they just built the buildings? Okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Exactly. It's well maintained. It's a nice facility. Everything's real clean. It was great. Well staffed. Really, 2 thumbs up to the facility and the people running the place. And it was a good. I think it was, from what I heard from the racers, it's a fun place to race. I mean, if it weren't, a 40-hour tow from Dallas or something like that, I would enjoy doing it. But yeah, there aren't
Gotcha.
there aren't a lot of tracks that get that kind of tow for us.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. Do you think you're going to be doing more of this judging stuff, or like once a year thing, or like how did that even come up? Were you asked? Did you
Yeah, I was
demand?
asked. So I demanded it. I said, I am leaving this series if I don't become judge. No, they clearly have hit the absolute bottom of the barrel.
Mhm.
They're scraping the crud off of the bottom of the barrel, and then below that they found me, and they said, "Well, you're still here. 15 years later, would you maybe like to come and judge a race?" And so Eric Rude reached out to me and asked about it, and I said, let's give it a shot. Like, let's try one and see if I like it and see if you like me doing it, and then we'll talk about it some more. If it works out well, and I did enjoy it. In fact, I enjoyed it more than I expected. My biggest concern was that there'd be, I really should know better, that there would be long stretches of nobody rolling through the penalty box, and I would get bored. And if you're not racing, you don't have a race team. Be at the racetrack's not a real blast,
Yeah.
But that certainly was not the case. We didn't really ever have long stretches, and there were sometimes there were stretches of 6 or 7 cars between what was in the penalty box and waiting to get into the penalty box. So it was fun. It was good. It was very interesting, and I always love meeting new people and seeing the different cars. That was one thing that I think maybe was maybe my favorite part of the entire experience was, a track I'd never been to, and most of the teams I didn't know anybody. Like I'd say there was a handful of folks that I'd even met before, and so that was kind of neat. Just having that different kind of new experience. I love going to races where I know a lot of people and they're friends and all that, but this was very much on the other side of that. I've never raced in the Northeast. So it was good. It was fun to meet new people and have that experience, and give some of them a lot of crap about their cars, and others not so much, and well, I'll let you ask more questions.
No, that's good. Todd, you got something?
Yeah, we'll get to the interesting cars in just a minute, but just tell us your memorable teams or memorable themes, people that went all out, or something that was new or unique that you saw.
So 3 Pedal Mafia and Garage Heroes in Training won the what is it, the
Halloween?
Yeah, Gasoline Meets Halloween, or whatever they call that. They were doing a Kentucky Derby theme, and so the women were in gowns and hats a lot over the weekend, and the gentlemen some of them were in top hats, and many of them were on I don't know what do you call it, like the horses that are it's like a horse head on a broomstick, right? Like you're going to gallop around on that. Yeah, a hobby horse. So they were on hobby horses a lot all weekend long. Like the dedication of the bit was significant, right? They they like at one point on Saturday afternoon they brought over like finger sandwiches for the judges, like all cut out, and
Nice.
cucumber and cream cheese or whatever and all that kind of stuff. So they really thought it through. I was a little envious of the fact that they had somebody or several somebodies who were really into that part of the racing, that like, well, here's how we're going to do this and win this prize, right? And so that was really cool. There was a team that did a candy themed car. It was I don't know what it was, a 190 Benz or something like that. That they had all glittered up, and they had all sorts of candy and stuff like that. And they did a pretty good theme. There was a team that was had needles up T-shirts, if you can imagine what that is. And their car was themed like the yellow Corvette at Daytona this year. Yeah, so there were a few, but I mean, That's one difference in Lemons between now and the way it used to be back in my day. But back in 2010 was the themes were really very prevalent, and that's not as big a deal as it used to be, I guess, which is too bad. That was fun. So those were fun. There was a team that did actually it was really well executed. There was a team that did a kind of signal gate theme, and so
nice.
they were and just generally Trumpy theme. So there was someone going around during BS raising and lowering tariffs at will on cars, and then during the they had some signage with the whatever it was in the signal text thing, the American flag, the bicep, and the fire or whatever it was. And then and the real genius of their theme was, I think they got a special award for it, was that they looped all the judges unknowingly. I don't know how they did this, but unknowingly into a group chat in like Facebook Messenger or something like that. So it would be it was like, we're going to execute this plan, and here's how we're going to do this, and we have to watch out for this, and look out for these pit stops, and these guys don't know what they're doing, and we're going to like it was their secret race channel, except they had included all the judges on it, like unknowingly, like, so it was pretty deep into the whole signal gate thing. So that was well done. That was entertaining.
That is deep.
Yeah.
So yeah, you got car stories. I feel like you were texting us a few pictures or stories about cars. I know there was one pretty neat maybe technology that you saw at the race.
Yeah, there was. So there was a Golf, like maybe a 5th or 6th gen Golf, that had active aero on it. So they had a dual element wing on the top of the. It was a, well, yeah, I mean it's a Golf, right? So it's kind of a hatchback, right? And so they had a dual element wing on it, hooked up, and they had a DC air compressor in the back of the car into one of those yellow Harbor Freight, like, was it 5-gallon? You know how, like, the rechargeable air can you can get from Harbor Freight, like, that you can take to the, you fill up at home off of your compressor, and then you take it to the track if you need to top off your car. So they were using that in line, so that because the compressor can't keep up, but it can refill it can be refilling the tank on the straights when it's not actually being used, right? And so then that would they had a couple of air servos or something, and so when they had a switch slave to the brake switch, and when you stepped on that, the entire wing assembly would flip basically vertical like an air brake, and then it would reset to normal once you got off the brakes, and then they had a button on the driver's steering wheel for DRS, and so then the second element of the 2-element wing would go flat to stall out, and so it was mostly manually controlled. It wasn't like slaved off of a Race Capture Pro or something like that with GPS location or speed or acceleration or anything like that. But it was pretty entertaining to see operate in BS when they were rolling through. I think it lasted in race conditions actually like half a stint, maybe. Like it was Saturday morning, and then something wore out or broke or something like that. So I don't think they got the opportunity to fully test the capabilities of their DRS, of their active arrows set up. But that does get to one of the things that I've always loved about Lemons, and that is, like, you wouldn't be able to do that anywhere else. And I don't just mean because, like, Lemons is crazy low prices kind of thing, right? Like if you took that to any other series, you'd be getting assessed points, or you just wouldn't be able to do it because it wasn't safe, or it would throw you so far out of class that, like, you're not competitive, right? Even though literally it provided these guys no advantage. Like by midday Saturday, they'd shut off the compressors and pulled the lines from the servos because it wasn't working.
Right.
But like Lemons lets you experiment with that, and I think that's one of the really fun things about it as a series is that kind of, we don't give a crap. Like, you can do something weird and crazy and give it a shot and see if it works, and nobody cares because I mean, certainly Jay's perspective on it over the years has been, well, it's just going to break and not work. You silly fool, right?
Yeah.
And and I kind of tried to adopt a little bit of that theory. Is one of the things that you do as a judge is you're responsible for, classing cars and assessing penalty laps, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I realized, of course, class is a little bit fungible, but for the most part, you kind of know what class most of the cars should go in, whether they're going to be an A, B, or C, right? Like how fast could this car really be? But the number of laps is, and class at some point, but the number of laps is kind of an assessment of the team, right? So like, look, this car is like, this car run properly should be like an A class and 20 laps. Like this car should run away with it. But these guys are clowns, right? Like there's no way this car run by these guys is going to even finish in the top 20. So we'll just give it an A0 and get on out of here, right? Which frankly describes us almost perfectly, right? Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah, like, yeah, look at their history. When they had an MR2, they were competitive like in Class B. Since they got a BMW, like they can lead a race, but they can't, finish a race. They certainly can't win a race.
Yeah, fair enough.
But that's all going to change soon.
That's changing. It has to. It can only change. A lot of Cordobas maybe happened. I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. There were 3 Cordobas.
What's a Cordoba? I don't even know. I mean, this is like, you all start to talk about these things in the group chats, and I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
It's a late mid 70s Chrysler land yacht. It's like the Chrysler competitor to the like the 2-door Mercury Cougar and the 2-door Thunderbird.
Okay.
Like it is 70 feet long. It weighs, 40,000 metric tons.
Mm-hmm.
Its turning radius is, Pennsylvania. And, yeah, I mean, it's this huge hunk of Detroit steel. I think it was, no, that wasn't that. But anyway, it's an enormous car. It's one of the cars that, Lemons specializes in that has absolutely no business being on a racetrack anywhere ever. But it was fun. One of the teams that was running a Cordoba, their transmission broke longitudinally. It's split in half down the middle. Yeah. And not the kind of failure you imagine having in a transmission, right? But the case failed longitudinally, and so they then I think they tried to fix it. They had another transmission, and then that wasn't going to work. And so they had a rookie on their team who had been looking for a race car for a while, and he'd had his eye on a Toyota Corolla FX16 that had actually been raced in Lemons before. Like it was caged, ready to go. So he was like, and I guess it was, about an hour away in Ohio. Cause the racetrack is not far from the state line. And, so they ended up, going to this guy. He paid like, I don't know, $5,000 for this, supposedly ready to go race car. Other than its fire bottle was out of date. So then somebody ran to Summit, which I guess is not far from Pittsburgh in Ohio, like the Summit mothership, and bought a new fire bottle setup. They got that plumbed.
Nice.
Oh, this was so sad. They get the car out on track. Oh, they drove the car from where they bought it to the track. So they drove it for like an hour, right? It worked for an hour. they get it on track. It does one lap, and then I heard it when it was coming off track, and I moved swiftly from the penalty box out to where I could see what was going on, because I turned to someone else and I said, "That's an engine that's about to blow up."
Mm.
Like, I've heard that before, right?
Mhm.
And they got it back to their paddock, and it had not ventilated the block, but it was not good.
Mm.
So yeah, poor rookie kid got one lap in his new race car before the engine retired on him.
Rough.
Yeah, that is rough. So they got, I think they got maybe I got screwed or something like that.
Yeah.
That was rough for them.
Yeah. Todd, you got a question?
Yeah, the Cordoba is like legendary Lemons. If you watch the race recap videos, they encourage people to bring them. They show a clip from the early 1970s television advertisement. I think Ricardo Montalban was the spokesperson wearing a nice fine suit, and they'll do this little sound logo whenever they show the Cordoba. And the fact that there were three of them at one race, I'm sure they were loving it, and I'm sure we'll see that at the next race recap for Pitt. It's pretty funny.
Oh, yeah. So the Cordoba was the one with fine Corinthian leather.
There you go.
and Corinthian leather is vinyl.
Wonder if any team ever's gone all the way with their theme and done the Cordoba and the Fantasy Island theme with Ricardo Montalban and tattoo and the white suits and everything.
They didn't. Nobody did at this race. One of the Cordobas, they did kind of a Gilligan's Island theme. So one of the guys was dressed up the captain. There was a Gilligan, and there's a Mrs. Howell, and I would guess there was a Mr. Howell too. But not a Fantasy Island theme. That'd be really entertaining. If you could get what was the Todd? What was the woman that was on that show all the time?
Like the guest.
Yeah, she'd been like a Playboy bunny, and she was like a guest on like the Love Boat and Fantasy Island, and like all I can think of is her name was Brigitte, and that's not right.
Barbie Benton.
That was it. I was just about to say Barbie Benton. Yeah.
So speaking of themes we'd like to see, I was at Lemons NOLA, and there was an awesome Smoking the Bandit Firebird. I mean, first of all, it's a race car, so it's awesome. It's got T-tops, it's black, it's got the gold Firebird.
I think we've seen that in Houston or something.
Yeah. And I talked to Nick, and he says each time it shows up, it's better and better as a race car and better on the theme. I mean, it had a Confederate flag Georgia license plate, something like from the movie. And I told him, I said, you guys, very simple. The driver needs a mustache and a big hat and a red shirt, and you need a woman wearing a wedding dress in the passenger seat to make out the theme. Some of these things would make themselves, but movie themes are always great for Lemons.
Big hat is funny.
Yeah,
Big hat is funny. Yeah, Pat, we need to talk about NASA as well, but I want to make sure we're covering all the important stuff. What else are we missing about Pitt Race?
Any fun penalties?
I don't know. We had some good penalties. We did, since it was Masters weekend, we had a penalty with where we made them. It was on there, fourth of the day, early on Sunday. Surprisingly, there were like 4 first-gen MR2s at that race. I was shocked. Now, 3 of them were running, V6s out of like RAV4s and Solaras, but there was one that still was running a 4A motor. And I think it was that team actually. A lot of rookies. They were learning lift oversteer the hard way. And like we all did driving the MR2. So they got to do the Masters penalty. So one of them was sitting on a like an overturned bucket, putting from 30 feet away or something like that. And we told him basically like you guys are here for an hour until you can hit a putt. If you can hit a putt, you can go. And so, he's sitting on a bucket putting with some, thrift store putter that somebody brought for me on concrete. So a very, very tough putt. He did eventually. Fortunately, they had a lot of fun with it. So I like it'd get close and then not close. Like it wasn't impossible. It was one of those kind of tantalizing, just outside of your reach kind of penalties. So that was fun. One thing that was surprising and entertaining in the most appropriate way at a Lemons weekend, we had a team show up late on Friday. I think they were in the very last tech group in a first gen, like, an 03 Boxster with and the hard top on it. I thought it was a Cayman because it had the hard top, the removable hard top they had on was a Cayman style hard top. Like it didn't just, end at the front of or at the back of the convertible roof. Like it went all the way to the back of the car. So it looked like a Cayman. It was much more aerodynamic. And it was fully kitted out. It was a beautifully built car, right? Full aero on the nose, full aero on the rear. Like the paint was good. The cage was beautiful. Like the inside was beautiful. It was like, this is a full on race car. Like this is whatever the Boxster series is, spec Boxster or something. Like this is a spec Boxster. Like this is not the right place for this car. Right. And I don't think they were really good sports about it, but it was kind of weird, bringing a gun to a, shiv fight. And, but they were really good sports about it. So they were number 20. We're looking at this car. It's like, past tech, but it's not this isn't a Lemons grade car by any stretch of the imagination. So we gave the number of laps we ended up giving them was 20 laps to the 20th power, which is something like 1.05 with 26 zeros after it or something like that. And then they went out and they were terrible. Their first driver got a black flag on the first lap. The first hot lap, he locked up the brakes and almost hit a car that was already dead off the side of the track. And so then he went back out and was back in like 20 minutes later. And he's like, I panic braked and I locked him up. And I'm like, does this thing not have ABS? He's like, no, I think it has ABS. I'm like, maybe you need to pull the codes on that thing because it doesn't sound to me like the ABS is working if you're locking up the brakes on 200 treadwear tires, right? And so they ended up getting 4 or 5 black flags on Saturday and they were parked twice. Was how early the first one was. At one point we said, look, so that they had 2 complete rookie drivers in that car. And then one guy who actually had done some racing, a lot of racing before. And so I said, look, you need to get in this car and see what's wrong with it because something's not right. So he came back in later. He said, somebody forgot to finish off the alignment on the back and the rear tires were 3/4 of an inch out.
Oh yeah, that's a problem. Yeah.
Yeah. So that would explain why your mid-engine car is swapping ends under braking, right?
Yeah.
And so then for a good bit of the afternoon they didn't have another one, and then they put one of the rookies back in, and he went out for 3 laps and passed under yellow or spun on track or something like that. So we parked them for the rest of the day Saturday, and while they were in the box, there was a pretty substantial oil leak on the floor after they left. And so I went down to him. I said, I think you guys have you need to take a look at this. Because I don't want, just from sort of a humanitarian perspective, I don't want anybody, blowing up a motor if they can avoid it, right? Let alone a, Porsche motor, which God knows how expensive those things are. And so they said on Sunday morning, they said, or Saturday evening, they said, yeah, we think we got it figured out. But then Sunday morning, they didn't take the track. he said, yeah, we came back and there was more oil on the ground underneath, and so we're just gonna take it back to the shop and figure out what's going on, which was really the smart thing to do. But I think that I think they were just trying to get some experience on those guys, and then eventually they'll wind up probably racing that car in Champ Car or WRL or someplace like that. But the funniest part about it is, even with their best driver in the car, I don't think their fast lap was faster than the leader of Class C on Saturday.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I was about to say, I mean, spec boxer isn't flying, but it could have been more than that. But yeah.
Oh yeah, it could have been. I mean, it should have been a lot faster than that, But that gets to, you can have a fast car, but if you don't have it set up so that it'll handle predictably under all conditions, you don't have a fast car.
Yeah. Well, very good. Well, thanks for the report out on Pit Race. That sounds like fun. I'd love to check that track out sometime. Do some elevation change. Sorely missed this weekend as Todd and I did some MSR Houston stuff.
Yeah, let's talk some MSR Houston.
Yeah.
NASA Texas Spring Fling.
And it was a lot of fun. So I don't know, Pat, I think we asked you questions about Pit Race. So beep, 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 beep. Why don't you act like a reporter and do your best interview about Todd and Matt?
We're here with breaking news, ladies and gentlemen.
Right.
You don't want full nasal mode.
That's good. Yeah, go for it.
1930s reporter.
1930s reporter style.
Yeah.
I also won't do Howard Carcel. God, that'd be terrible. So anyway, so let's start with Todd Spickard in the CMC division. How'd things go for you on Friday, Todd?
It was a fun race weekend. Friday, actually, I didn't. We have switched to Hoosier RCES specific tires for our class. Everybody heat cycled them one session in Crescent in March, because they actually want you to cure for like a week. In the Toyos, you cured them for 24 hours. So we had them cured and waiting, and I really didn't want to waste brand new Hoosiers that are supposed to be lighter and stickier and grippier for 5 track sessions. I just went out like half a day, worked on the car a little bit in the morning, and went out for 2 sessions on Friday afternoon just to see how they feel. And the Friday was good.
So are they full slicks?
Almost. I mean, the Toyos had 2 tread lines in them, 2 full circular tread lines circumference, and these have just a couple dots. So for intents and purposes, they're slicks.
Are these like technically a DOT tire?
Yeah. But they are 2. I noticed when they got delivered to my front porch and I picked them up, they are 2 pounds lighter each. It is noticeable. And then when mounted and you put them on, it's noticeable. And then it did feel like the car was a little lighter or nimbler on its feet. Very grippy. Like, not really, I wasn't making a mistake, but if you just go into some place where you go over the jump backwards, we were going counterclockwise to launch.
Really?
And it, once you unload with the G's and then you load, you can be a little sideways, but it grabs you pretty quick. So yeah, we did counterclockwise. It's a little more difficult.
Yeah. I've a few years ago, somebody told me that is how that track was originally designed to be run, with counterclockwise, and then they realized that it's safer to run it the other way, because you just have that T-bone right at pit entrance when you're running counterclockwise. So that's one of the reasons they don't run it counter very often.
Yeah, the Lemons direction is generally clockwise.
Yeah.
Come through the carousel, and you've got the wall on the left with tires, which is technically safer because there's more room. When you go counterclockwise like we did, and 2 years ago, when there was a Miata wreck after the rain that Hunter deftly avoided, when you're coming into, I guess, Sugar and Spice, coming back up the front straight, the wall is very quick and narrow, so it is a little more dangerous. You cannot pass. You can't go too wide through there if you're at full speed. But it's a challenging direction.
Man, I bet coming out of Sugar and Spice, going counterclockwise, you are hauling it down to bus stop.
I misspoke. Yeah, I just meant the last U-turn before the front. But yeah, Sugar and Spice, and then the bus stop. Oh yeah, yeah. I call it the kink. It's the long straightaway that curves with the kink. That is the highest speed portion of the track.
Yeah,
and then some heavy braking. Yeah,
yeah.
It's challenging.
I bet it is. Boy.
Yeah.
Boy, howdy. So how about you, Matt Murphy? How did Friday go in the K Miata?
Friday in the K Miata. So my, you got to make priorities, and so it was all about getting through tech first, right? So
what's that like?
Yeah, so tech is nerve-wracking, right? Like I haven't been back to Texas or NASA Texas in 6 years. I've passed tech several years in a row now with comma, but you just don't know what one series is going to look at versus the other. Made a few changes here and there, so wanted to get through that process. So yeah, got there, got the car kind of put together, and because you got to, with anything like that, you got to put your air dam on and your splitter and all that junk and just get the car where it needs to be. So took the car to tech about, I don't know, call it 9:30, and had a little bit of feedback. I did have one loose bolt on my seat. It's one of those like, thanks for finding that. Let's get this fixed.
No kidding.
And then they didn't love the state of the engine bay. So their safety concern was that you get a little bit of oil buildup here and there on the motor. Things get hot, that catches fire, causes a bigger problem. So, long story short, I went back and tightened up the seat. That was fine, and then sprayed down one side of my engine with some brake clean, and that looked good.
AKA cleaner.
Cleaner, yeah, ant cleaner, whatever you want to, so yeah, I mean it was fairly chill. They charge you $25. They go through the car, they get you your sticker, they ask questions about your car, yada yada. They seem to like the build, and I don't know. I'm kind of an auditor whisperer, so like that's my job in real life, and I'm just like, no, hey Greg, no, that's great. Like I really appreciate all the insight, and we can't wait to get this car up to spec for you. Kind of. I'm not. Don't bitch and moan at the tech guy. Like
right, yeah, 100%.
Just roll with it. Like we're all here. Yeah.
Hank and Ed are the tech inspectors for NASA Texas, and they're really good guys. They've been doing it for years. They go to national, but they do care, and they will find things. And usually you're like, oh, you're ready to go, and you're upset, but they find something you need to fix, and it's good for safety. So,
yep. So yeah, that worked out well. Then I only got out for one session that afternoon. I noticed immediately that the car was way too low. So we had Mario on that one time talking about the splitters.
Yeah.
And how they need to be like probably 4 inches of ground clearance. And I had 1 inch. And so car was real low.
He was like on the ground.
Like 1 inch static.
1 inch static.
Yeah.
Of ground clearance. And that was a product of a couple things. The corner weighting I was doing, I went through a corner weighting practice there on the car to get it where I wanted it to be, and I think I ended up just really low on the front spring perches to get it where I wanted it to be, and didn't really go back and recalculate that compromise, right? Maybe raise the rear a little bit, but and then just the K Miata is so that motor is so low, the oil pan is so low that. I mean, your splitter is basically just acting as a skid plate for the motor. And so there's really nowhere, like there's not a lot of height adjustment I have available on the splitter itself.
Yeah.
So it all has to come from the front spring perches. So that evening I fixed that, jacked the car up and just gave it a quick and dirty, call it half inch on each spring perch. And it was totally out of alignment at that point. I could tell I had a little bit of toe out and not as much camber, but Yeah, it worked. So, yeah, but that was Friday. Just trying to dial in the car, deal with practice, deal with tech, and then just real quick story. That afternoon, my sister was in town, and it's one of those things. You think you're a cool guy, like, hey, I'm at the racetrack. I'm racing my K Miata with a bunch of cool Mustang guys. It's hard to, how are you going to beat that, sister? And she rolls up in a freaking Taycan GTS and takes me out tooling around Houston in sport mode. And I'll tell you, that is a composed, very fast vehicle. It's not plaid fast, but it's Porsche like refined. And I would much rather own one of those than any dumbass Tesla. But end rant.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with Porsche.
Yeah.
At this point. I mean, other than the cost and the cost of maintenance.
Sure.
The experience itself is for guys that love cars, it doesn't really get better than that, I don't think. Although I haven't driven a McLaren yet, so
I'm sure those are nice.
Prove me wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It has an e-ink glass roof.
What?
And it'll just and so you can just depending on how much shade you want, it'll just stick a different design up on the roof.
That's crazy.
It's pretty slick.
Can you program that? Can you program designs into it?
I don't know. Probably for some premium feature. Yeah.
Yeah, you can subscribe to that, so you can have the Racers HQ logo up on there.
Right.
If you did a long enough drive across the desert Southwest, you'd have a partial Racers HQ tan line on your arm.
Right, it's at your forehead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, that's Friday to answer your question, but yeah, good times.
Yeah. Yeah. Tech is always you're right. Tech is always that kind of dual experience, right? What you really want to do is go racing. Leave me alone. I'm fine. I want to go racing, right? But on the other hand, because you see that certainly in Lemons too, nobody's trying to bust you just for the sport of it. It's
right.
We don't want you to die, and that's why we're doing this. And I think back to I think you were at that. I don't remember if you were at that race, Murphy. I feel like you were with the MR2. I don't remember what theme it was, that race, but it was before we had Simca'd the car, and there was a new tech inspector who had done some IMSA stuff. He was an old dude, and he put his hands on the cage on that thing, and he's at the joint on the passenger side, a pillar to the halo bar or the windshield top bar mount, right? The top of it. He's like, your weld's not complete here.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what do you mean it's not complete? And he's like, here. And he says, here, feel this. I'm like, you're right. And, so let's get a hole saw and cut a hole in the roof and get a welder in there and finish this thing off, and it's always I was thankful, right?
Yeah.
Because God forbid you test that joint and it fails.
Yeah.
In the worst way possible, right? So you're oh, but ultimately it's thank you for, helping me not to die.
Yeah.
Or my friends.
These are important things. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like it.
All right. So we get to Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
Spickard, I assume you slept in the Spickard trailer.
Yeah, I've got the new enclosed trailer with AC. Actually didn't need it. Although Houston is hot and muggy during the day, it got down to 60 or 58 at night. So it was really nice. We actually had a CMC/NASA dinner at one of the local Texas grills. It was really cool, about 16 people. And I think Matt may have gone to Houston sushi with the sister.
Yeah. I'll tell you, driving around in Houston is, that's way more dangerous than the racetrack.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I went to some fancy sushi dinner. It was lovely. But yeah, whatever. Seared, I love a seared foie gras nigiri.
We got to play the Vivaldi for that. We need that soundboard, and that's what we need for that is a little bit of Vivaldi right there.
Yeah. But no, yeah, Friday's pretty chill. We stayed in Pearland. We stayed in a newer hotel in Pearland that was east of the highway. And Pearland, by the way, is the new New York City. I'm pretty sure everyone in New York City moved to Pearland, and it's got traffic jams and skyscrapers and international
skyscrapers
food.
in
No
Pearland.
skyscrapers, no.
Okay,
no, but lots of international food that looked very yummy. But yeah, Pearland is blown up, so we need to find a new place. But I guess we got to start staying in Angleton or something. But Pearland is wild.
The Pearland sprawl extends almost all the way to the racetrack. The construction on 288 literally is 5 miles away from the racetrack. That's how far south it goes.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, that's crazy.
So take note of that.
It goes, but yeah, that is nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where'd you stay at in Pearland? At a new hotel. We need to mark that down for Hunter for this fall.
I don't know, something like a Hampton Inn. I don't know, man. Like they're all the same thing, They had free breakfast, and they weren't Texas shaper waffles, but
what?
They weren't. But they did have mini waffles.
In Texas and didn't have Texas shaped waffles.
No. But they did have mini waffles, which was nice, and they did have red velvet flavored waffles as a special seasonal treat. And they had different eggs each day and different sausage each day.
Is it red velvet season? I didn't realize it was that season.
And what's red velvet anyway? It's just red food coloring. Nobody cares. This is stupid.
Yeah, like Coke and cocoa syrup, right? Or cocoa powder.
Is that how it works? Okay.
I think that's something like that, right?
Yeah. But no, so Friday was pretty chill, and then we went racing on Saturday. We had a full 4-session day. I think.
So when you guys were racing, were you actually in the same session, or were you offset from one another?
No, and we could have been. This is a frustrating thing. I had some classing frustrations. So I went out as Super Touring 4. When they looked at all of the run groups, Super Touring 4 only had one person participating. That was me. And so instead of having just an ST4, ST5 run group, they decided to stick the ST5s with CMC and the ST4s with ST3 and the GTs, like the Legends, right? So I got stuck in the faster run group, and Todd got stuck in the moderate run group. And I mean, I would have had way more fun in Todd's group. I'm not up to pace yet. My car's down on power. Like, I would have been right there having fun with everybody in Todd's group. And so kind of a misplaced run group, but that's fine. I should be faster. I should be 4 seconds faster anyway. So,
and actually, Matt,
so does that mean you were like a 4-time champion over the weekend?
I got 400 points. I mean, I won every race, but I mean, that's fine. I mean, it was boring not having anybody there. I don't want to win that way.
Do you get one trophy for that, or do you get 4 trophies?
You get one trophy at the end. Yeah.
Oh, one.
Yeah. You get a trophy. So they just real quick. Yeah, they have 4 races for the weekend. The 2 Saturday races count, I think, and they're both like what, 20 minutes, Todd?
25 and 30 on Saturday.
25 and 30 on Saturday. And then the first, they do a sprint on Sunday that doesn't count, but Todd's team actually goes in and does the math and counts it. So CMC goes and backs into the points for that because they want everybody to participate. But for clowns like me, I just skipped that sprint race on Sunday morning, save some tires. But then they do like a 40-minute enduro. And I'll tell you, laugh all you want about a 40-minute enduro, but in a Miata like that on Hoosiers with 900-pound springs and no power steering, I mean, I don't want to do any more. Like, my hands were toast. I couldn't do anything else. Like,
we feel the same way, that after 25 and then 30 and then 20, it doesn't sound like much more, but 40 minutes, it's different. It's long. It's a different strategy. It's an endurance mindset, because you need to finish. You need to save tires. You can't just kill it every lap for 40 minutes. And people have issues. And if I fall back to mid-pack, I take it easy on the car because I want to finish, and someone in 5th or 4th might have an issue. And I don't want to have an issue. So yeah, it is kind of an enduro.
So if you started at this will be an example of my ignorance about slicks. If you start that in that 40-minute enduro on a set of your not slicks, right? Your
Mhm.
whatever they are, your new Hoosiers. Will those tires really not last 40 minutes if you're at full song the entire time?
No, they do. I'm talking more about the car preservation and overheating, and we were curious because these are new tires for us. We've done Toyos for 8 or 10 years, and this is the new Hoosiers. But we looked at everyone. Obviously, we have our best lap time and we have our finishing, but we looked at everyone's lap times throughout the 17 laps or whatever it was, 25 laps. And consistently, everyone was 2 seconds faster in the first part of the run and 2 seconds slower at the end. So there was 2 seconds of fall off. And it's not really, I mean, it's the tire, it's the track, it's the heat. But it was consistent among all competitors, regardless of your lap time. It was 2 seconds. But yeah, you just can't run. I mean, in a sprint race, you're running 10 tenths or 11 tenths to catch second place. But in an enduro, it's 9 tenths. I mean, I wouldn't call it a Lemons 8 tenths, but it's 9 tenths. Unless you're right with someone and you're trying to pass for a position.
Mhm.
But it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yep.
Matt, we'll get to Sunday. Matt will have an interesting story about his Sunday.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Let's hear Matt's interesting Sunday story.
Well, yeah. So
hold on.
Well, let me give you my perspective.
Saturday night. There's kind of like a deal, right?
they had a DJ who was loud and obnoxious, but he had a few bangers, and they got to get the Utes excited. But yeah, no, they had a crawfish boil and it was lovely. And Todd did a great job of reserving a table for us, and that's just good times. And big shout out to NASA Texas. Like they're trying to have fun at the track, right? I think they probably see the fun that we're having in Lemons, and they're like, people enjoy that aspect of racing, right? The camaraderie, stuff like that. And so, dude, I mean, crawfish boil and beer, you got me. Todd?
NASA always does a Saturday evening dinner party happy hour. It's like $10, but with food and drinks and beer. And in March or April, they always do the crawfish. And plus, we were in Houston. They'll have pasta one time. They'll do burgers, nice burgers sometime. They mix it up, and it's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, the crawfish, potatoes, corn. It was good.
Mm-hmm.
So how'd the racing go for you on Saturday, Todd? I feel like we kind of maybe
actually, let me see. Race 1, I ended up. It's one of those where someone got DQ'd, but nobody knew it, just because of like a weight issue. That we get the top 4 people go into impound after every race, and you either get weighed or they check your track width or something, just to keep everybody honest. And somebody was a little light. So I didn't know that, like, let's say second place got DQ'd, but we didn't know it till later. But anyway, I thought I came in 5th, but I ended up coming in 4th, which makes a difference because they pay Hoosier pays in that race. Hoosier was paying the top 4, so I got $100. So that's good. That'll help towards the next tire. But so I came in 4th, 5th, 6th, and 8th over the weekend. Which the 4th is good, and the rest is my normal mid pack. But I had a lot of fun.
And so Murphy, what were you actually racing with anybody? I mean, I know you were solo in the class, but
yeah, there was. I mean, I was back. I was at the back of the run group with some legends and going back and forth with GT cars, like Trans Am cars, where maybe they would have a loss of talent occasionally and go sideways, and so I'd pass them, and then they'd come back around. There was an Allison. This guy, what's his name? Brian.
The older gentleman.
Yeah,
Graham Baker.
Graham Baker. That guy's awesome.
He's 75. He's awesome.
Yeah, and he had an Allison, which is like a 3/4 car or a 3/4 size NASCAR with a big wing on it and like an inline 6 out of a truck. And he was faster than me. I'd say we were probably similar spec, but he was a better driver. I'll give him that. And so yeah, but we chased each other around all weekend long, so that was fun. I mean, have somebody to chase down. But no, I was just running by myself. I think I saw a 48 on my lap timer, but it was recorded as a 49.1 for quality.
28.
Huh?
20.
Not 48.
Well, I'm sorry, 48. Yeah, 48.
28, so he'd have to add 2 big turbos and...
No, he's right. 48. But I looked at it because I always keep my buddies PB and ask how you're doing, and then I keep the PBs for our group. Matt would have fit in perfectly with us. I will actually tell him next time for Hallett. Their decision is always based on making the car run groups about equal, 16, 16, 15. So they put him somewhere. But we were running, let me see, our top 4 drivers were running 147s and 148s. And then our, quote, mid-pack guys, which I'm in, was 149, 150, 151. So Matt would have fit right in it. So had they put him in with our group or starting behind us, he would have been right in the mix, quote, battling with us. And that would have been, we'll see if we can set that up next time.
You'd be like in the middle of, you'd look like a raccoon that was raised with a pack
of dogs. No, he's got a pretty cool Miata. So Sunday was a little warmer. I did my 40-minute and came off. Fortunately or unfortunately, Matt was right after mine. Like anyway, I was coming in as he was like lining up, so I couldn't. Anyway, I'm changing clothes, cooling down. Here comes Alyssa. Matt's lovely wife, Alyssa, was there for the weekend. She enjoyed it. She also got to do some girl time with like butterfly pictures. But anyway, so she's helping Matt. She's watching, and she comes over to me, has this look on her face, and I know his 40-minute race had just started, and she goes, "Todd, what should we do?" Tell him what had happened, Matt.
Okay, so I got some video of this, but here's the deal, Pat. So I've been back and forth about what class to be in, and so I ended up putting my flimsy white doors back on, right? And these things do not shut, and there's like no structure around the latching mechanism, right? So Alyssa, by the way, was a great safety crew and GoPro manager, and she's got a big, she was talking to me about this. She'd love to hop on the pod and give some more pro tips for the ladies out there at the racetrack. But it's like, give her something to do, right? Like if she's just bored, she's just gonna be depressed and bored, right? But put her to work. So she's put to work.
Professional photographer. She took pro pictures from the butterfly gardens in Houston, but even better pictures of at the racetrack of many different classes. So we want her to come back, Racers HQ photography wing.
Yeah, that's right. So we're gonna get and she's down, right? Excuse me, my printer is going now, so please pause for
I thought maybe you'd open the window by accident.
Yeah, no.
Alyssa comes over and says, "His door's open. What should we do?" And I'm like, "What? His door's open?" I assume they're gonna flag him in, but they didn't. Tell him why.
Well, so my door, that poorly structured. So she was managing my GoPro for me, and God bless her, GoPros are annoying. But she stuck with it, and but when she was done, she couldn't get the door to shut. And eventually, I thought we had it done. I go out, and immediately this thing just pops open. And I'm just thinking through the solutions with myself, right? I mean, I'm in a cage. I'm okay. I don't feel unsafe. But I'm just thinking to myself, okay, I'm gonna pass somebody on the right side if I get to that, right? If I can catch up with that guy in front of me, I'm not gonna let my door slap him, on the way by, right? But
although that would be very sassy. Like
that would be sassy.
That might be a GIF, right? Like better than like reaching out and tapping the guy's rearview mirror, or not rearview mirror, but wing mirror shut, right? Like,
but it didn't happen. I didn't catch up with him anyway, so no harm, no foul. But yeah, no. So I just figured, okay, I'll give it the beans on the the left-handers and see if this thing will shut. And
it kept opening and closing.
Yeah, so the door is just opening and closing, right? And flying in the wind there. So whatever. It wasn't a big deal for me. I did not want to get black flag though. Like I wanted to, because this was the trophy money race. Like I needed to finish this race, right? All I needed to do was finish, and I get the win. So anyway, sure enough, they did not black flag me, but there was a big discussion afterwards with the wife, and asking me, trying to make sure that she did the right thing, right? And so I was like, okay, well, we do probably need to have a better communication system, right? Like we didn't have comms set up, so that would have been helpful. And she did go talk to the stewards, and they weren't concerned, but they said they would call me in if it was a problem. I told her probably don't offer up black flag opportunities unless you're really concerned.
Maybe don't narc out your husband.
Yeah,
that was the point. No, she came over to me and said, "What do we do? I don't want him to, stop the race." And I said, "Well, if they haven't already black flagged him, they've seen it and they've decided not to." But I went over there and we had, gorilla tape ready. I'm like, he'll probably just come in the hot pit and I'll jimmy the door or maybe duct tape it if necessary. But I don't think he's going to have to come to the paddock or quit the race. And then I checked with a steward too, and they said, "No, we know about it. We've radioed it in twice. It's not a problem to us because it keeps closing." So, but they're the same way. It's the passenger door. He's in a cage. It's not hitting a competitor. So I just thought it was kind of funny that the wife comes over, hit Matt's door's flying open. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. But yeah, so that happened. And whatever.
So
but yeah.
Alyssa learned a lesson about OPSEC too.
Yeah, she did. She learned where the track entrance and exit is, right? Like she's like, where would I even be? I'm like, right there. Like that's where you needed to be if that was the problem, right? And so yeah, and these are also things to realize. Like you need to explain this to your crew, right, as well. Like they need to know these. They need to know these things. But no, and I got to tell you, Todd's CMC crew, man, it's such an inspiration to see what it's like to have a group of cars in the same class and like everybody working together and everybody like having camaraderie at the track. Like that's the Lemons style fun that you want to have at a racetrack. And so I'm excited. I think that we can build this SD4 thing. I know there are 3 other competitors in the region, and Roland's car fits into this. Mark Hutchison, who we've not had on the pod yet, but a new motorsports friend of mine, he's building a car for it. So I want that, right? And I don't really want to change classes again, but I want that kind of camaraderie at the track. So but luckily I just got to mooch off the CMC guys, and that was a blast. I just hung out with them the whole time. And
yeah, the CMC group is awesome. They're great guys, great cars. They're very competitive and they want to win, but off the track they want to help you get your car back on track because it's fun and it's more people, but we all help each other. And so one guy, Jonathan Valdez, in a black Mustang number 94, he had twisted his ankle and car prep and had to go to the ER and an X-ray and was walking around in a boot, and he blew his outer tie rod, the connector to the wheel, and he had to go home. And other competitors were jacking up his car like on Saturday night and drilling it out and getting the right drill bit so that on Sunday morning it was halfway fixed. So he showed up at the track and his car's jacked up, halfway fixed, and it was a very easy repair. And then after the fact, we're on a group chat. They say, "Oh yeah, remember that? They always help each other, and they've done that before. If someone had to leave the track, they work on their car, so when they come back, it's halfway ready to go." So it's a great group.
Yeah, good team. And Todd does a good job of building community too. He was holding court, right? He had the big tent out there and all the chairs, and Todd's place is where you hang out. So yeah, we're all
the 20 by 10 canopy and some fans and electric and lights, and just where everybody hung out if they need some shade. And it's a cool group.
Yeah,
refuge from the EDM DJ.
Yeah, I walked up to the crawfish line and I was like, "Man, we don't need EDM DJ. This is crawfish."
That's for the Utes.
Yeah, there were many Utes there running their tuners in DE 1 and 2.
Well, I thought you were saying TT. So, okay.
Yeah.
And
they aspire to TT.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do aspire to TT. Yeah. We got Alyssa a pink Go Tracks like electric kick scooter, and she's in love with that thing. I got myself a black one. So yeah, big shout out to those. I mean, that's the answer. You don't want a 200, 300 pound gas scooter. I mean, you just need the little electric guy. So that's a good upgrade.
So we'll look for the pink scooter at Hallett coming up.
Yeah. So pretty fun times at old NASA, Texas. Brought home some hardware.
Why are we not seeing the trophy? I feel like you should be like Say anything with the trophy right now.
Yeah, no, I took it up to the office. Yeah, a couple hot takes on the trophy. Let's see, real quick. At the end of the race, I started to get an error on my O2 sensor. So, and these have gone out before. These wideband O2 sensors, I think they last probably about a year and a half. And so, I keep a spare on hand. Just replaced it this morning.
Is it just just a Bosch LC49?
Yeah. And I even this morning when I was changing it out, I thought to myself, let's be smart about building out our kit here. So I found a spare 7/8 wrench, and I stuffed it in the box with the replacement part. So trying to build out that spares kit there, and I thought that was a smart move. But yeah, I got the car, trying to get the car ready for Hallett. Anyway, so that was that. And here's a subtle.
When are you NASA Hallett?
Early June, so first weekend of June.
June 5 through 7.
So like a month after our Lemons race there.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, and just a few things to fix. I ordered some better ABS for the air dam up front because it was clearly bending under pressure. Just went too thin. 070 is too thin. Going with spot 100 inch, which I think is a recommended ABS, or it's not even ABS, it's some other product. What is it? HSPB or something? I don't know, Pat. You're a material expert. Anyway, so
I am not a material expert. You ordered the Freddie Mercury / David Bowie version.
Sure. This is the All-Star HPDE. That's the AL22461. That's what you need, guys. The black.
I'm gonna go with HDPE.
HDPE. Okay, maybe it corrected
high
that
density
for me.
polyethylene.
Yeah. Okay, that's what it is. Yeah. So use that instead of 070. So this is like, and then here's a subtle point. So I tried to do the cool hero first place trophy in the air pick, and I've gained 40 pounds since I've bought my racing suit, and I'm not a hero of men, but the bits down there got all scrunched up, and detail outline of my bits are in the photo there.
And you can see this on your favorite Racers HQ social media, Instagram page.
So it got real tight down there. So watch out. Think about what you're doing before you put your hands in the air. But John Hamm moment there. But anyway, so just pro tip: get one size larger.
A big win will make your pants tight anyway.
That will, yeah. I was probably pretty excited about it. So
yeah.
Anyway, it happens. But no, it was a great weekend. I don't know. It was awesome to have Todd there at the track. Alyssa, Sam Crumpacker, shout out. I mean, I call him the champ. I guess he's not always the champ, but he's won a championship before, right, Todd?
Yeah, he's always in the top 3.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
He raced with us. He raced with us on our Lemons team at the 929.
Yeah. So yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
He's putting together his Lemons car. It's called the Eco Booze. It's a Mustang, 6-cylinder, but they call it the Eco Booze. He's run it in the old WRL, but he may make an appearance at Lemons someday soon.
So watch out. First time on the R7s and the big brakes and the K Miata. So this was the K Miata was maxed out, and it was apparent in the braking zones, especially. It is an intense amount of grip, and I can't wait to get that thing kind of fine tuned. It's going to be a screamer. So
what's the fine tuning? Are you going to have to play with your anti-roll bar, or is it just aero?
Yeah. So I had a lot. It was kind of rear. It was low speed, rear grip limited, and so. I don't know. I think I lost some alignment when I raised the front there, so I'm going to realign the thing. I definitely lost some a little bit of front end grip going through the carousel because I lost some camber. But yeah, the rear is as soft as you're going to get it, I think, or as soft as you want to get it on the Hoosiers. So I just need corner weighted again. Just try some different strategies on the suspension tuning, and then it needs another 20 horsepower to be up to spec. So. I'm talking to Humble about drop-in cams and E85 tune,
Yeah.
and that should get me some more horse purrs.
Are you running a fuel cell in that, or are you still on the stock tank?
Stock tank, yeah, so 11 gallon. But it's fully upgraded fuel system for E85, like
Okay.
big fuel pump, big injectors. It's ready to go.
Lines are all alcohol proofed. That
Oh
all
yeah,
that. Yeah.
uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I bought it with. I mean, I own a E85 sensor. I just didn't install it because it's just more failure points.
Yeah.
And so I figure we'll just switch maps when it's time.
Sounds like more success points.
Yeah, that's right. Something like that. But anyway. But yeah, no, it was a blast, man. I mean, but it is brutal. I mean, that track is falling into the swamp, and it is painful in painful cars, and that car is a painful car, right? I mean, that car is designed to make pace by going fast through corners, and so it's full send every time.
The track is a perfect Lemons track because for the Lemons cars and the beat up cars that you don't care about, but for race cars and sprint cars, it is rough. There are ruts. Diamond's Edge has like pothole and loose gravel. They don't do any maintenance. They don't use a blower for the loose gravel. There's potholes in the paddock, and now the bathroom is down to one urinal for like 200 males, and they won't fix anything. And when we were there for Lemons, you pay to reserve a garage, and the garage door doesn't work, and the power hadn't worked. So they're just not putting any money into this track. We don't know if they're borderline bankruptcy or can't pay their taxes, but we wish someone would come in and take it over and get it back to what it could be.
I agree with you, Todd. I don't know if we've talked about it on the pod before. We certainly talked about it a lot in the paddock about kind of the death spiral of tracks, right? Like, you can't it's kind of like pain meds, right? Like if you have a knee surgery, you can't get behind on your pain meds because you'll never get back in front of it, right? And it's the same thing with like capital at racetracks. Like you can't stop maintaining a track. You can't take a break in that. You've got to have constant revenue and be saving money to plow back into that maintenance, because once you get behind on it, absent an infusion of new capital, which like never happens until somebody buys it new, it's just not going to happen. And it's the same thing we saw at old ECR before, it went under and got bought. And then, Livio bought it and plowed millions of dollars into it, made it a much nicer track. And it's better now than it ever was before. But that was what we saw at ECR at the end, that last Lemons race we did there. It's like, holy cow, this thing is it's a disaster.
Yeah.
And we saw that at Houston. When was the last time we raced Houston and Miko? It wasn't last fall. The fall before that, 23.
Yeah.
Bad times. Bad times at Houston.
Yeah, the buildings are rough. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that sucks because I've been running that track as probably the longest. I mean, I consider that probably my home track. I know it's 8 hours away, but I mean, that's where I started running Lemons, and we've been doing it consistently year over year over year over year, and then NASA stuff, and like I probably got more laps there than anything, and it's sad to see it, get to that point. But I think with the neighborhoods encroaching, I think we're done. I don't think we're going to see MSR Houston in the next 5 years. I mean, the neighborhood situation is that intense.
No kidding.
Yeah, but that's just my hot take. I mean, I think they're probably just waiting to sell it.
Wow. That'll be a shame. I mean, when we started racing there, so that was our first race. Our first Lemons race was Houston, February 2009, and it was, in the middle of nowhere. I mean, nowhere coming down on that. So it's amazing to me that there's housing encroaching out all the way out there at this point.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a nice neighborhood, like a gated community, like what, 5 miles away, like
across
north
the
of
highway.
it.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So that's that. Enjoy your memories. What else do we have to talk about, Todd? I think we're getting a little long on the tooth here. We need to wrap this thing. You good? Yeah. Pat,
What's next on the race? What's right?
Oh
next
yeah, that's a great Todd. You're a great podcaster. What's happening next? We're going to Hallett. We're going to go racing again. We're going to Hallett first weekend of May. Come say hi. We're going to be pooping in tall cotton, guys. We have got 2 reserved spaces. We've got RVs. We've got air conditioning. Come say hi. We're going to be there all night long, all day long, racing cars.
That's right. We will have fresh popcorn in the evenings.
Mm. Okay, I didn't know that. That sounds lovely. Good fiber.
You can do that when you've got an RV. Just plug that popcorn popper in and pop that sucker right up.
How has this? This is a good one of these like air poppers. Is that how that works?
No.
Stovetop?
No. What's that thing called?
Jiffy Pop?
I still have the one from when we were in law school.
You still have that?
Oh yeah. It's the what's that thing called? It's
electric
it whirs it up real big?
Yeah, that's it. You've got it like
air popper.
No, it's not air. You put oil on it. It's got it's a round thing with a dome.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Okay.
And it's got
and then you turn it over.
Yeah. And so it's got like it gets hot on the bottom. You put the oil in that and the popcorn. And it's got a stirrer that goes around to circulate the unpopped kernels in the oil. And then it pop, and it fills up the whole dome of popcorn. And then you've got, popped popcorn.
Just to clarify for the listeners,
not that dried out crap with the air popper.
This thing is 30 years old. We used it in 1996.
Yeah.
Can't believe you still have
it. We don't have time to get into this, guys, but I don't understand all the complexity around popping a frickin' bowl of popcorn. First of all, I mean, you need a pan, you need popcorn and a lid and a heat source. Like, we don't need all this pomp and circumstance.
But you do. It's better. Well, it's easier at least.
It's not.
I've never. You might be right. I've never popped popcorn like in a pan on a stove. I wouldn't know. I mean, I'd be afraid I'd burn it.
No, it's impossible. Well, we should have that. We'll have a popcorn taste off at the track.
Racers HQ Popcorn Culinary Edition.
Mm-hmm. We'll also be adjacent to some other podcasters. Dave and Ian from the Apex Adjacent podcast are coming down from Colorado.
Really?
To run the HHR. So we're excited to see them.
Yeah.
They're excited to run Hallett again. So that'll be a good battle. So we're real excited for May for Hallett.
So Tarp Racing is running Miku at Hallett Lemons in May, and then Tarp Sprint Racing. Matt and I will be there in June for NASA Sprint Racing at Hallett. 2 Hallett visits within 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should sponsor like a podcaster trophy between us and Ian and his.
I like this.
Career.
Okay, challenge accepted. Got to come up with that trophy. Probably just a shitty T-shirt. I'll just put something on the drop ship.
No, I mean you've got to be able to run to play it against sports or something like that.
Oh, sure.
Like a junior soccer trophy or something like that, and you just dymo a label onto it.
This is smart. I like this. You got this, Pat. Yeah. So come check us out at the track, guys. That's the drill. I'm so excited that we're finally racing and not just talking about it. Todd, do you have any thanks, shout outs? Anybody you want to highlight in your life?
Thanks to Matt Murphy and Alyssa for being great paddock mates. We had a real fun weekend. It's always racing is fun. It's more fun with friends.
That's right. Pat,
I am. I'll give a shout out to my my fellow judges, Janice and Tim and Brian from Lemons last weekend. They took me in as a mere babe in the woods from judging and gave me many good tips.
Nice.
About how to judge things. So, thank you to the crew.
It's an exciting new career for Pat Mulry. I got to give a big shout out to my wife. She did a great job of crewing this weekend. Todd, great job of crewing and just being the homie and having a space and somebody to hang out with, and all the other CMC guys. That was a blast. shout out to NASA Texas. They put on a good event. I'm excited to be running with them again. And now that I have a big boy with contingency sponsorships, I gotta give a shout out to Hawk racing pads and Hoosier for sponsoring the tires and brake pads that I don't think I get any contingency money for because I ran a one-person class, but we'll get there. Yeah, so I appreciate your interest in the sport and try to keep us afloat. But check us out, racershq.com, YouTube, all of your podcast platforms. We're out there, guys. We're here for your culinary delights and racing adventures, and we will see you at the track. Bye, everybody.
Night, Dave.
Good night.